You directed and wrote
Yeah.
Scott. And I was wondering because obviously you have a lot of experience as an actor already. I
Mm.
was wondering because every director has a different approach in terms of how to work with actors. And I was
Yeah.
wondering if what it was that you kind of appreciated the most in a director-actor relationship that you were kind of
Mm.
able to adapt for your own film when directing.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. I think the thing that I really like when I'm working with directors, when I'm acting and working with a director, is I guess thoughtfulness. Like when they're actually um into the material and th they're in it for the right reasons and they're trying to serve this overall story, but there's a certain amount of like leaving you to it. Not so
Yeah,
much that it's like because it is a collaboration, but they trust you to make those choices and I think if you cast the right people, you don't really have to over direct them. That's what I think keeping it simple is sometimes best.
yeah,
It's also good under certain situations to be a bit more challenged if you can't quite crack a scene or you're not really. But I think acting can be you can be a bit more self-conscious about if it's working and sometimes you can't really tell if you're doing a scene that's actually gonna like sometimes when you're on set, you do the scene and then you think, oh, that was like my best work, like that was the best scene
yeah,
I've
yeah,
done in
yeah.
weeks. And then you watch it and it's like, oh, actually no, maybe not. And then this other scene that you're really unsure about, like just worked a lot more. So it's just such a mystery to it. And I think a good director will kind of just shepherd you along a bit, but not really not be too overbearing or not let their ego kind of get in the way. So I think when I was approaching Scott, it was different because I was also in it. So
Right.
it
Yeah.
I did find that a slight challenge actually because I didn't want it was hard to it was like wearing different hats. I was trying
Mhm.
to like we'd done a lot of prep visually, so we knew how it wanted to look like on camera, but then it was actually directing actors is a bit difficult if you're in the scene with them too because you have a totally different perspective on it. So
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so when I directed something again, I decided I was just going to direct and not be in it, which was this short film that I made. It's like a proof of concept for a feature
Hmm.
that me and my producing partners are working on. But that was a totally different experience. Like just writing and directing and not being in front of the camera was totally different. And I think I learned a lot through doing that too. Yeah.
I can imagine. I
Yeah.
don't know how it was for you, but like, a little bit of pressure because I mean, you're like, you star in a scene with somebody else. You also
Mm.
direct that scene, and you're like super happy about the performance of your co-star, and maybe not
Yeah.
happy with your own performance, and you're like, let's do it again. I need to be
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
Like,
That did happen, or I was very conscious of like not wanting to do too many takes for myself necessarily as well. Like
yeah.
I wanted to kind of give the other actors like that sort of more time as well. Um, but I do have to say like when I cast the short film, my sister we didn't have a official like it was very small budget. We didn't have like an official casting director on Scott,
Yeah.
but my sister kind of helped me like find the right people for it, and I think the all the right actors just kind of fell into place. Like Stevie was great, and she was a family friend, so I asked her to do a tape because she's like Swiss French, so I asked her, she's American, but her parents are, so I asked her to do a tape with the accent and everything, and she just nailed it. And then I couldn't think of anyone for who would be good for the role of Andrew, the music manager later on in the short.
Yeah.
Um, because we were shooting in LA and making it look like London. It's like, okay, I gotta find a British actor who can pull that 60s London thing off, and I couldn't really think of anyone who'd be good for it. And then I was sat in a restaurant that my sister used to work at, and this guy popped into my head who I'd met at the restaurant a few times, this British actor, Luke. And I thought, oh, You know what? He'd be great for it. He just kind of came to my head when I was in the restaurant, and then literally 5 minutes later, he walked in and sat on the table next to me. So I was like, oh, it was like fated, you know. So I just went
Yeah,
over to him
yeah,
and I was like, hey, I was like, I'm making this thing about Scott Walker, and he was like, oh, I love Scott Walker, and we just clicked over it. And so I guess that is almost goes back to like that first question you asked. Like, I think it was like the right actors for the role, so I didn't feel like I had to sort of overly direct or anything like that. It was just a very
yeah.
good dynamic on set. Yeah.
Right. Awesome. And what you just said, like recreating it, because in your film, you do not only recreate like a different territory, but also a different time, obviously.
Yeah.
We are in 1967. And I was
Mm.
wondering, what would you say has been like the main challenge about recreating a time period that neither of us experienced, because we weren't
Yeah,
around, and also like but still making it not only look like it, but also feel like you're truly
that's a
taken
massive part of
to
it.
the, right?
Yeah, completely. Yeah, that was like very much on my mind. And then on top of that, we were shooting it in LA and it had to be London. So
Yeah,
that was like a whole other challenge too.
yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
LA is not known for its sort of historic architecture or anything like that. It's, everything's very new. So it was a big challenge, and I looked a lot to some of the films that Scott Walker was really into. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I looked, and a lot of them were like 50s movies, like Fellini, like Eight and a Half, and some Bergman films, and I was watching those because that was very much what he was into, and that I think that really informed his imagination. He had like a very European imagination, so
Yeah,
I wanted
exactly.
to get that feeling into this project. I wanted to kind of like yeah, it was 1967, but I wanted it almost more to feel like those films from a bit before then,
Yeah,
because people who were living in that time would have been like influenced by that and artistically
exactly.
speaking. So yeah, I tried to kind of rely on that. And then we had a really small team, great team of people helping make it. So we just were really attentive with all the props, like sourcing everything that was accurate, or even like the tape player that we used at the end. I was going around LA looking for something that would have been perfect for it, and the one I found was just in like like a sort of like a pawn shop where someone had brought it in, and it was from the year. It was from 1967. So I was like, okay, well, that's when they started making
What?
those. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
great, that works. So it was just like a lot of attention to detail with that sort of stuff too, um, and
Oh,
like the gold records in the back of Andrew's office, the character Andrew. We just took old records and sprayed them gold, which you couldn't even see because it was black and white. But we wanted everything to like feel, but it was funny because I remember taking those. They were fake gold records, but we put the real Rolling Stones hits on them because
yeah.
he was the Rolling Stones manager. And I took some of the props down to like a Goodwill afterwards to like drop them off. And I dropped off those gold records, those fake gold records. And I remember seeing some of the Goodwill workers come over and like look at them and like take them away because they thought they were like probably valuable or something. Probably
Yeah.
realized quite soon that they were just spray painted. Yeah.
So good. So good. But
Mm.
also what when it comes down to black and white, because I can
Yeah.
imagine, like many people go like, let's take away the color and then it will already look like it's set in a
Mm.
different time zone. But obviously it all comes down to the costume, the hair and makeup as well,
Yeah,
the production design you just mentioned, like with everything, with all the props and stuff. To truly recreate it, because just taking away the color is obviously not enough, right?
exactly. Yeah. And the thing with the black and white as well is like even a lot of those movies I mentioned are in black and white. So it was like, yeah, that helps, but I didn't actually intend for it to be black and white when I wrote it. Just when I
Oh,
started when I started sharing it to people, and I shared it with Justin, who was actually our camera operator on Love Victor.
yeah.
I was talking to him on set, and I shared the script with him, and he was like, I'll help you. I want to help you guys make it. And he was so invaluable to have on set. Like he brought so much experience and professionalism to the set
Awesome.
because of his years of experience and working
Yeah,
on like
yeah.
such big things. But when he read it, he interpreted it. He just was like, "Oh, it's going to be black and white, right?" And then a few other people who
Oh,
read it just assumed it was going to be shot black and white. Like
they
it,
envisioned it
I
like
guess,
that.
yeah, there was something in the script that made people almost feel that was coming across in the writing somehow.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, yeah, let's just run with that and do it. So it was almost like a happy accident that it ended up being black and white, you know?
Oh wow, that's very
Mm.
interesting. And
Mm.
because I don't know about you, but I know a lot of people who will simply refuse to watch black and white because they just don't like it without colors or stuff. But
Yeah.
some would say that why would you watch a movie in black and white if you're taking away the details in form of colors? But I disagree
Mm.
with that because I feel like black and white can add so much depth actually that you will not
Yeah, and a lot
expect.
of texture.
And yes, exactly. And it actually brings details to shine. That's how I see it,
Yeah.
like the details that matter, actually.
Yeah, I agree as well. Yeah, and I think it's sort of it's just a whole different experience, isn't it? It's a
Yeah,
different. You shouldn't see it as like, oh, this is old. This isn't gonna entertain or whatever. It's not
yeah,
really
yeah, yeah.
about that, is it? It's
Yeah,
about the sort of experience you have watching it. That's just different. Yeah, and it
yeah.
it fits the right thing, you know? Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, in
Mm.
your film, for example, when you see like the close-ups from the eyes, and obviously eyes are like the door to your soul in a way. So
Yeah.
you actually you are basically swallowed by the characters. It's
Mm.
like and the eyes it's just different how they look. You see this detail that might be swallowed by the colors if it will be in color. You
Yeah.
would see it in a different way.
That's interesting. I hadn't thought of it like that actually. With the like close up on the eye, that was kind of in reference to one of Scott's album covers. I was kind of trying to put that
Oh,
imagery in there. Yeah, because I wanted to drop in
yeah.
sort of bits and pieces from his whether it was his album covers or lyrics. Like I kind of wanted to have little fragments of
Yeah,
that in there too, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
one of the things that I love in your film is the music. I
Oh
mean,
yeah. Thank you.
Theo. I mean, Fever Dream. When
Mm.
I mean, it's like when they put on like the vinyl and the music appears. Damn, I was so in awe, seriously, because
Oh,
I
nice one.
personally I love it so much when music and imageries go so well hand in hand. Because
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but sometimes I feel like you go back in time to all these cult classics, for example, let's say Jurassic Park, and
Mm.
what comes to mind is like the theme. You go back to Star
Yeah.
Wars, the theme comes to
It's
mind.
so synonymous with it.
Yes, exactly. And
Yeah.
nowadays I feel like that's getting rarer and rarer. You watch films and there's music that works while you watch the film, but you don't necessarily take it with you out of the theater
Mm.
afterwards. And I love it just so much when it's done organically, of course, when the music becomes its own character and works so well hand in hand with the imagery. It's
Mm.
and that's what I felt here actually in your film.
Oh, thanks for saying that. Yeah, that's Theo Elwell, the composer. He's fantastic, and I got put in touch with him through a friend, um, and we had some conversations, and he was so good at watching the footage and then listening to Scott's music and kind of coming up with something original for it. And he was just brilliant. And I'm really chuffed for Theo because his score has like picked up a couple of awards at like the film festival things. So it's
Yeah.
nice to see that the music has been recognized a little bit from the film because obviously it's about a musician. So it's kind of nice that that's like
That
been the
element.
result of that.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, no, I was really I would 100% work with Theo again. He was great and like just he was just so good to work with. Like yeah, I'd never really had that experience. Like it was my first time creating or collaborating with someone to create something some original music for film. But it was one of the most fun bits of the process for me, actually. It was really rewarding.
How would you say how your working relationship with Theo was? Because obviously, also
Mm.
composers have their own ways of how they work with directors. Like for
Yeah.
some like to to get a sense of the story and to want to know what the feelings are in the scenes, and then they want to be left alone so they can come up with the music based with that on that information, while other directors may have a very specific idea in terms of how the music needs to sound like, and they kind of look for a composer who can translate that. And I was wondering how it was for you.
Yeah, I had specific ideas of
Hmm.
bits and pieces that I wanted. Like even something simple as like when Scott's on the phone to Andrew at the end and you can hear the music in Andrew's office. I wanted that to be
Yeah,
reminiscent of like early Rolling Stones, like but played through a thin like cassette tape. I kind of had that idea in my head. So I'd speak to Theo and tell him like, okay, yeah, I'm kind of imagining that for this section, and for here, I kind of want to like get a feel of Scott's one of Scott's songs here that will remind us of this. And there was like specific ideas, and then I'd leave him to it. And also, this was all over like because he was working in London and I was in LA, so this was just all
yeah,
over like calls, really, like FaceTimes and whatnot. And I'd leave him to it. He'd come back and usually he just got the idea really well, and then I only needed to kind of give one or two more notes, and then it was
yeah.
kind of done. It was a really quick thing,
You
but
kind of
yeah,
got each other right away.
we
Like,
did. Yeah, we really did, and I think also it helps that he's a really talented musician in his own right too.
yeah,
So
yeah.
he could play everything, and just yeah, make it sound brilliant. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and super cool that the score was nominated at ISFMF in Croatia. That was,
Yeah,
yeah,
that was cool actually. Yeah. Yeah, and then Theo won something in London too. I think it was called the uh Music and Sound Awards 2020 of this year. So it's nice that it's picked up a couple of bits like
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, right, yeah, yeah,
It's really cool. And that is actually one thing that a lot of people will speak to me about when they've watched it is the music. So um yeah, I'm chuffed for that, you know. It's cool. I can't wait to work with them again.
yeah. That's nice. So the
Yeah.
music stays with the people. You see, that's
Yeah, it is nice. It is
yeah,
nice. Yeah, it
yeah.
really is. Yeah. Hmm.
And obviously the movie we we find Scott in a moment where he's uncertain where to go as an artist or how to find himself as an artist again or re-find him after leaving the Walker Brothers and
Mm.
pursuing a solo career. I was wondering if you were ever in a similar situation as an artist, because obviously when you work in film, you once you complete a project, you start again, right? It's like
Yeah.
okay, that project is done, and now what's the next journey of my path going to be? And I was wondering if you ever had that moment where you were uncertain, where to go with your art.
Yeah, yeah, all the time, to be honest.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, I think so. I think it's just the nature of the beast when you
yeah,
sort of work in the arts. It's just part of it, isn't it? It's like
yeah, yeah,
you put so much into something, and then you don't really know how it's going to turn out, and yeah, and then you can kind of hope for like I guess that's what I'm enjoying a lot about now that I'm writing and directing as well. Like that I'm enjoying the kind of more of the creative control of that in a way. Like with
yeah, right.
acting, you're kind of bringing someone else's
Vision to life,
words to
right?
life and
Yeah, yeah,
that character, and that's so fun. And I obviously love doing that. Um, but I think the thing with the writing and directing. I think yeah, I did have a bit of an itch to scratch that was like I wanted to do something that was a bit more like I don't want to say more creatively fulfilling because acting is very creatively fulfilling to me, but I wanted to do something else that was like other aspects of the sort of overall filmmaking process, I guess.
yeah,
So I suppose I felt a little bit like that before. Um, but yeah, I think that whole like feeling a bit lost as an artist, that's probably something I quite connected to when I was um listening to interviews of Scott because I heard him talk about that anecdote, and
mhm,
that's when originally started typing it out as like a chapter in a novel almost, like this story of like 60s London, and and then I thought, ah, this would be really good visually, and started writing it as the script. But yeah, I think that's probably the thing I actually connected to. Um, on top of loving all the music and getting obsessed with that, then I think I connected to this story where because when he was talking about that, I was probably right around that age as well. Like he was telling that story and he was like 24 and I was probably about that age. So yeah, it's definitely something I relate to. And I think I've kind of accepted now that this career can feel like frustrating sometimes when you don't know when the next job is or you
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
like
right.
you're waiting around for something. Um, or you might feel a bit lost creatively or and that's just kind of part of it. It's just kind of part of the ride and you
Exactly.
just have to try and accept it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. And speaking
Mm.
of accepting, I mean, because when Scott 4 was released in '69, it failed at first, and
Yeah.
it was re-released like over 20 years later, and then all of a sudden it was called a masterpiece and was critically acclaimed and everything. And I was wondering, did that ever happen to you? You know, you were because obviously you can put all your heart and soul into a project, but you don't know what it's going to do once it's done. So I was wondering, did
Mm.
you ever had a project, you know, you put all your heart and soul in it, it was released, but it didn't really go where you hope it will go?
Um, I remember like some early jobs I had when I was acting like that I kind of naively thought this is it that everyone this is it this is going to be big like everyone's gonna everyone's gonna love this
But that's
and
like
then
the
it
teenage mindset, right?
yeah basically yeah like I'll never have to audition again if this
Yeah.
and then and then it comes out and like five people watch it and you're like oh right okay that was underwhelming
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
but I think the difference with I guess with Scott is that like it I think when you're I think for musicians it's probably I don't know if it's harder maybe it is harder to write music put kind of bare your soul a bit and then for people just to not for people to kind of reject that I guess that would maybe feel a little bit more personal because at least with like acting and you can kind of hide behind well it was the writing or well it was the director or you've got other components to sort of blame I suppose
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah no other than that I don't know if there's anything I've really poured my heart and soul into that's been my own thing yet. I mean, knock on wood, it was all right, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But it's so funny what you mentioned with you know being naive. It reminded me of myself. You know, when I was a teenager, I wrote a script and I was like, "Ah,
mm.
everyone's been waiting for this." And then I sent it out to an editor, and the first sentence of the feedback was, "Prepare yourself for the worst."
Oh no, that's not what you want to read.
Yeah, 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 right. But
Yeah,
now you go back to that work and you're like, yeah, that
yeah,
that
exactly. When
that
time goes by and you revisit old stuff and you're like, oh God,
yeah,
I wouldn't write it like that now, or I wouldn't. Yeah, of course, but
exactly,
in a
exactly.
way, that's good, right? Because it means we're
Yeah,
growing and we're sort
yeah.
of,
Yeah, it was so
yeah,
funny. I remember even, you know, even when it's Academy Award winning movies, I remember Mark Foster, the director of Monsters Ball. Uh,
mm,
he said he saw the movie, you know, just a few years ago on TV, and he was so embarrassed he had to
really,
turn it off right away. It was like because
wow.
he only saw the things that he will change now.
He
But
only saw the
obviously,
criticisms.
yeah, but obviously as an audience member, you don't know what it looks like in his head, what it is he will change. You just see this masterpiece and you're like, this is
Yeah.
good enough, right? It's like
Yeah, of
interesting.
course. But that's a good point when you say like it's good enough. Like there is something to be said for trying not to be too much of a perfectionist about it all and just being like, okay, especially with writing, I think.
Yeah, ooh,
Just like being like, this is good enough and just keep going
yeah,
and
yeah.
don't overanalyze it as you're writing. And then you get a couple days away from it and you can read it and you have a totally different perspective on like on the stuff that you think's good and or working or what isn't working, you know?
Yeah, 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 exactly. I feel like it can get very easy to be stuck if you just
Yeah.
back again and again. I mean, so if you when you write, do you usually try to get that first draft done before you go always back to rewrite, you know, what you already wrote before?
Yeah. I'm at that. It's funny because at the moment I'm writing something. else. So I finished writing this feature, and me and yeah, my producing partners and my writing partner, and we've been, you know, it's been about just over a year since that's been finished. We've made the proof of concept, and we're cracking on. We're trying to get this feature made, and it's really hard to try to get the first feature off the ground, like as I'm learning. But you know, we've been very grateful. We're very grateful to have had like good traction and things are going well, knock
Yeah.
on wood. But then that was a whole different experience writing that, because that was a lot about like personal experiences and living in LA. It's a satire, and then this new thing that I'm writing with my writing partner Harry. Um, it, we've got a writing session in a few hours actually. We're just doing that mentality of like, let's just get this first draft done. Like let's just keep going. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
we're not even rereading our old scenes when we jump on. We're just picking it up from where we left off and just rattling it off. And
Yeah.
it's a comedy too, so I think trying to get that pace, that sort of energy in there is being quite helpful. Um, but I think yeah, just getting it all out and getting that first draft out. It's not going to be the finished thing, is it?
Of
It's
course.
going to be
Yeah.
so many, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, just trying to do that. What about you? Do you have a kind of set way you tend to approach it, or?
Yeah, you know, when I started writing years ago, I was like I was always going back to what I wrote,
Mm.
but that actually ended up not finishing some of the scripts.
Yeah,
So
because you get stuck.
then yeah, and then I allowed myself to even write crap, but just to
Mm.
get to the end because I found it much easier to edit what's there than, just having something halfway through trying to perfectize that, but not
Mm.
having like the latter part. It's like
Yeah,
I feel like in order to truly complete, I just have to get that first draft right away, and then I can do all the changes that I want that you need to do anyway. Like,
and I think also there is that thing of like you have to get all the bad ideas out first to get to the good ones. You know,
yeah,
you just can't just have the first great idea pop onto the page straight away. You tend to have to work through loads of bad ones first, you know. So me and my
yes,
writing
yeah,
partner, we always say like, okay, this is a bad idea, but what about this? And we just throw it out there. And usually, sometimes those bad ones will trigger one of either him or me to get another idea that's a little bit better, and then we start building on it. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
It gets
yeah.
better and better from that from there.
Hmm.
Like it's
Yeah,
like this exchange that is just building
yeah,
everywhere basically.
exactly, exactly. Yeah. Mm.
Very interesting. It's always so interesting to talk to other writers and directors because of course everyone has a different approach in terms of what works, and it's always interesting.
Yeah, yeah. That's the thing. There's no like one size fits all. There's no like one path that works
Yeah,
for
yeah.
everyone.
Because somebody
So,
might tell you you have to go like this, and then somebody else
yeah,
says the complete opposite, and it's really
yeah,
about finding your own style in how you pull it off, basically.
totally, totally. And I think the same applies to actually getting something made too. Like that's what I'm realizing. There's no right way. There's no one formula to get something made, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
There's certain things that like industry standard things you can do, but ultimately every getting something made is just like totally different every time, I think, for every single project.
absolutely, absolutely.
Mm.
And
Mm.
one of the things in your film, you I believe you mentioned that in your making of for Scott, that Scott was staying true to his sort of compass.
Yeah.
And obviously sometimes that's not possible. I was wondering, what would you say as an artist, how tricky it can be sometimes to stay true to your sort of compass, especially when you are dealing with circumstances and all these different voices around you.
Yeah, that's true. That it is tricky. Um, I think I know it's quite kind of a cliche answer, but I think it's just intuition. I think it's just feeling when something's right or feeling when something's a bit off. And
Yeah,
it kind of, the more you trust that feeling, the sharper it tends to be. And I think that does go back to doing anything creative. You have to really rely on your intuition to follow the ideas and see where they're going, you know? Like I
yeah,
love a lot of I love like how David Lynch approaches that, I think, like relying on intuition to with ideas and fishing for ideas and stuff. Yeah.